Russia warns Ukraine's ATACMS attacks mark new phase of war.
G20 Summit. PM shares 3 proposals to accelerate SDG implementation.
Teacher brings nutritious meals for children in mountainous area.
Hello everyone, you are watching today's news on NTV channel. My name is Đăng. Let's get started. Russia has sent a clear warning to Western countries, signaling its readiness for a nuclear confrontation that comes after the U.S. approved Ukraine's use of long-range weapons to strike Russian territory. Experts believe there is a possibility that Russia could resort to nuclear weapons in response to Ukraine's recent ATACMS missile attack.
Which the West would
Vladimir Putin formally lowered the threshold for his country's use of nuclear weapons, days after the U.S. allowed Ukraine to strike inside Russia using American missiles. According to the revised nuclear doctrine, Russia will consider an attack from any non-nuclear state, but with the participation of a nuclear state, as a joint attack on Russia. In addition, Moscow could unleash a nuclear strike if subject to an attack by a non-nuclear country that has the support of a nuclear state. The change came after Ukraine used the US-made missiles to target a military facility in Russia's Bryansk border region. The attack marked the first time Kiev had used a long-range missile against Russia with the US green light.
U.S. media reported that the Manhattan District Attorney's Office had decided to delay the sentencing of President-elect Donald Trump for his hush money conviction.
In a letter to the judge in charge of the case, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office stated that Trump should not be sentenced for his crimes until after he completes his second term in office. Donald Trump is expected to take office on January 20th, 2025. However, Manhattan prosecutors have rejected Trump's request to dismiss the charges brought in May. Trump's legal team is expected to continue pushing for the dismissal of these charges. Meanwhile, the New York Supreme Court has postponed the sentencing of Mr. Trump in the bribery case instead of November 26th as planned.
As part of the G20 Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil on Tuesday, discussions focused on sustainable development and energy transition. Vietnamese Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính attended the session and delivered a speech.
In his speech, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh reaffirmed Vietnam's consistent policy on sustainable development and its determination not to sacrifice social welfare, progress, social equality, and the environment for pure economic growth. Emphasizing that every action taken today will determine the future of generations to come, PM Chin said Vietnam is committed to making every effort, alongside other countries, partners, and the international community, to achieve the goal of net zero emissions by 2050, thus contributing to the development of a green, clean, beautiful, and sustainable world for the future of the next generations. The Prime Minister made 3 proposals to get the process of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, back on track, and ensure timely completion.
Coming up next are some updated news.
Vietnam Textile and Apparel Association said that although the world situation continues to be complicated and unpredictable, with total global investment declining, Vietnam's textile and garment industry still maintains a good growth rate. Vietnam's textile and garment exports are expected to reach $44 billion, marking an 11.26% increase compared to 2023. The sector's imports are projected at $25 billion, up 14.79%, resulting in a trade surplus of $19 billion. The main export markets are the United States, Japan, EU, Korea, China, and ASEAN countries. Implementing the textile and footwear industry development strategy, from now until 2030, the industry will gradually shift from rapid development to sustainable and effective development according to the circular economic model. At the same time, perfecting the domestic value chain and participating in a high-value position in the global supply chain.
Nghệ Provincial People's Council has approved a resolution on the plan to add more than 363 billion Vietnamese dongs of the 2024 Public Investment Plan from the central budget for 3 key projects. Accordingly, for domestic capital, the Provincial People's Council agreed on the plan to add 230 billion Vietnamese dongs of capital to the Nghệ An Oncology Hospital construction project, second phase. For foreign capital, the Provincial People's Council agreed on the plan to add 2 projects with a capital of over 133 billion, of which, nearly 85.700 billion Vietnamese dongs will be added to the basic infrastructure project for comprehensive development of Nghệ An, Ha Tin, Quang Binh and Quang Tri provinces, Nghệ An Province Sub-Project. In addition, 47,646 billion Vietnamese dongs will be added to the project, developing tourism infrastructure to support comprehensive growth in the Greater Mekong sub-region. Second phase, sub-project in Nghệ An Province.
Data from the General Department of Customs shows that Vietnam's total rice export volume in 10 months reached nearly 7.8 million tons, with a turnover of more than 4.86 billion United States dollars. Accordingly, rice exports increased by 10% in volume and increased sharply by 23.5% in value compared to the same period last year. The average export price of rice in 10 months reached 626 United States dollars per ton, up 12% over the same period last year. In the world rice market, India sold off its warehouses after more than a year of imposing an export ban, causing the price of this food to fall sharply. However, Vietnamese rice prices remain high and remain the most expensive among the world's largest exporting countries. It is forecasted that this year, Vietnam's rice export volume will continue to exceed 8 million tons, with an expected value of more than 5 billion United States dollars, the highest ever.
In mountainous areas, parents often relied on teachers to look after their children during the school day. To ensure students in remote schools have enough food, many teachers take on extra responsibilities. They act as both teachers and caregivers, managing the children's meals and rest.
This is the lunch for nearly 20 children of different ages but studying in the same class at a kindergarten at Tay Son Commune every day. Due to the difficult life, while the amount of money to support lunch for preschool children is very little, so apart from teaching, teachers here also have to increase production so that the children have more food to eat.
The money is small, but I have to cook enough for the children to eat well.
The government supports each pupil 160,000 Vietnamese dongs per month, so it is only enough to buy meat. So teachers here have to grow more vegetables so that the children have food with enough nutrition.
In winter, in the remote areas of Qui Shan district, the average temperature drops much lower than in other localities in the province. In some areas such as Nam Ngoi, Muon Long, Huoi Tu, Bac Li, frost appears many times. The cold weather lasts all year round, and the temperature often drops suddenly, so teachers always pay great attention to taking care of children's lunch, especially in remote areas.
Most of the children live with their grandparents, so they lack of care from their parents.
When cooking or preparing food, teachers have to take into account the time so that when the children eat rice, food is always warm.
Teaching in the highlands of Qui Shan district, Teachers here have witnessed many children suffering from disadvantages due to difficult circumstances. To compensate for the children, in addition to teaching, teachers also increase production and raise livestock so that the children can have fresh meals and warm sleep during the cold winter days.
This is the end of the show today. Thank you for watching.